think I was trying to come up with a quote, because every decent speech has to have a quote from somebody besides yourself. And I was looking around at one for that perfect quote that would sort of capture Dad's life, and I think I found it in a little comment by George Bernard Shaw. And here it goes. It says, quote, "This is the true joy in life, the being used for a purpose recognized by yourself as a mighty one, the being a force of nature instead of a feverish, selfish little clod of ailments and grievances complaining that the world will not devote itself to making you happy. I am of the opinion that my life belongs to the whole community, and as long as I live, it is my privilege to do for it whatever I can. I want to be thoroughly used up when I die, for the harder I work, the more I live. I rejoice in life for its own sake. Life is no brief candle for me. It is a sort of a splendid touch, which I get a torch, which I get to hold on for a moment, and I want to make it burn as brightly as possible before handing it to future generations." I think that captured him pretty good, and a lot of people have come up to me and said, "Well, so sad that your dad's gone." And I thought to myself, but only thing I could think of was, my God, the man had used up. He had done what George Bernard Shaw said. He had burned it hard and bright, and by the time he went, it was time. It was actually time, so that he didn't have to end his life, in pain and suffering. And he went to bed with Lacey, Connie putting him to bed, and he took his last breath and went away, used up, but for the good of this community and the world around him. So, Dad, I love you.
I'm going to tell you a little bit about my memories of my grandfather. The king of dad jokes, the ultimate lover of animals, critters, a fisherman, a sailor, a wealth of knowledge, a Walmart clearance rack connoisseur, a creature of habit, a poorhouse staple, a passionate philanthropist, an incredible singer, a lover of the arts, an advocate of higher education, a bookworm, a fifth-generation Texan, an intellectual, an avid entrepreneur, a creative mind. These are the memories of my granddad that I will cherish. And Granddad, as an enthusiastic young businesswoman, a passionate singer and musician, and a huge animal lover, your legacy really does live on in me. You can count on me to carry on the torch.
A letter to Connie from Jimmy Carter. Dear Connie, Rosalind and I were saddened to hear of Jim's passing. We cherish the relationship we have shared with you and Jim for many years, and we mourn the loss of a dear friend. He leaves a legacy of generosity in his own community and beyond that will be felt for generations to come. Please know you are in our hearts and prayers during this difficult time. We hope that your warm memories and the love and support of your family, friends, and the many people whose lives your husband has touched will be of comfort to you in the days ahead. Sincerely, Jimmy Carter.
I was honored to be asked by Connie to speak about her husband, Jim Calaway. I met Jim many years ago, and I was always very pleased to spend time with him. I spent time with him in Carbondale at the theater, and he would interview me, and we would have wonderful questions from the audience, and I always felt that he cared about what he was asking, and he cared even more about what the answers were. I've never met a more generous person in my life who was involved in so many different aspects of the Valley community and generally. And he was somebody that had so many different interests, and he put his money where his mouth was. He really talked about and did issues for children, for hospitals, for the arts, for animals, and for civil rights. We had a wonderful time comparing stories about Democratic conventions and where the Democratic Party was going. We hit it off very well. I loved coming down to Carbondale ahead of the theater appearances and having dinner with him and Connie and just talking about everything. I am known for the pins that I wear and the signals that they send. So today I decided to wear an angel pin, and in addition to that, angel earrings, because Jim was an angel on earth and is now with the angels, and he will be dearly, fully missed by all his friends here in the Valley and everywhere. There was no more generous or gracious human being than Jim Calaway, and I'm honored to have been his friend. Thank you all for everything that we're doing to keep honoring Jim. We must keep doing that and carrying on his good work.
One of the joys of my life is getting to know Jim Calaway. It's a great thing about being in Aspen. He had such a wonderful spirit. You'd sit on that front porch with him. He'd pat you on the knee. He'd start telling you stories. He cared a lot about everything from the animal shelter to the Aspen Institute to the depth of values that we all have to live by. And if I think in any given day what's wrong with our society, if I had one sort of remedy I could do, it would be to try to make every single person a little bit more like Jim Calaway. Just that wonderful laugh, that twinkle in the eye, and that willingness to just explore new ideas. He's exactly what the Aspen Institute was all about, what Colorado Mountain College is all about, and what the Roaring Fork Valley is all about. It's just great memories we all have of Jim Calaway.
Jim's friendship meant a lot to me because he was a very experienced philanthropic type of guy that could just draw others into his fold. And he would tell me all the reasons why we should do this. And it made a lot of sense to me. And he also told me about how at one time he was spending his money for a whole lot of toys and other things that didn't mean much to him. But as he got into the philanthropic areas of giving, how important that was and how much it meant to him and how much it would mean to me if I would follow that footprint.
Harvard University, which is a great school if you can't go to Texas, Harvard, a couple of years ago, had its sociology department spend a lot of time to do research, it cost them a lot of money, I'm sure, on what it is, what single thing makes people the happiest. And what they came up with, if they had just picked up the phone and called me, I could have told them just right then. I know. What they said it was is giving. That's what Harvard, they came up with as a conclusion. Giving in all kinds of things, like you said, a child or a neighbor or whatever is giving is a great source of happiness.
Jim could be living anywhere. He could do things anywhere he wanted to. He could have 4 or 5 homes. He could be traveling the world, or could have been any of those things. But that wasn't Jim. Jim came to the Valley. In being here, it didn't take Jim long to where he got involved. And if you've been around Jim or you knew Jim, you know it was more about making things better, making it better for people, for the people he was around.
What can I say? I sit in the Calaway Academic Building at Colorado Mountain College in Spring Valley. So many students here have benefited from the generosity of Jim and certainly of Connie as well. He has such a legacy at Colorado Mountain College. He sponsored the theater program. He helped to bring care up to our campus. He founded the Board of Overseers. He's an honorary degree holder. He's a commencement speaker here. We will miss him greatly. And I certainly won't know what to order for lunch at the poorhouse, since I never had to think about that because Jim always ordered for me.
Again, thank you, Connie, and your family for this amazing celebration. And thank you, Jim, for being the most generous and kind man who I will carry in my heart for eternity.
I think the main idea that happiness comes from giving.